Are quarks the most basic building blocks of nature? Do quarks contain other particles? Now, there are some very interesting aspects of quarks being made up of other particles. Quarks are incredibly small. They're smaller than about 10 to the minus 17 centimeters. To give you an example of that, if I take a carbon atom and expand it to the size of the Earth, how big would a quark be in comparison? Well, it would be smaller than a half a centimeter. And so it gives you an idea of how tiny quarks are. And of course, that's the upper limit in the size. They could be much, much smaller. And the LHC will be able to actually increase the effective magnification of observing quarks and be able to see whether the quark is smaller than 10 to the minus 18 centimeters. In other words, they can demonstrate whether quarks are smaller than 10 times smaller than the upper limit that we now have. Now, if quarks were made up of some other particles, there would be another very interesting feature, and that there would be some new forces in nature which would be at least 100 million times stronger than the so-called strong force. Now, to give you an idea of how